Welcome to another edition of the Roll for Crit podcast. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and to start us off, X-Wing.
X-Wing!
X-Wing! That's right. Earlier released was the core set that actually is based off the X-Wing and TIE Fighter for the new movie. And of course was also announced that you can buy them separately, but everyone wants a core set because why not get it while you can now? Yeah, but they've announced some more ships.
That's the first thing it was just that what you just said,
right.
Which is that you're going to be able to buy those ships from the core set individually, which I guess shouldn't be too much of a surprise.
Well, the TIE Fighter and X-Wing will already be able to buy separately,
right?
Because you never know when you need to just throw a whole bunch of X-Wings.
Right. and of course they talk about, they have all their rules and it's all compatible so you can mix all your ships together and stuff. So now if you already, for instance, have the base and you don't feel like buying a new base with a new box, you can just get these extra ships.
Right.
But the real big news is not a new ship at all. They announced for X-Wing colored pegs.
Oh, right. I heard about this.
It's really not cool at all. But they're coming out with a new accessory for X-Wing, which are new pegs, as I said, for your stands for your ships. But now they have different. They're translucent. They have like red, blue, purple, green.
Well, it works well if, let's say, both of us were using Rebel ships or something for whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that distinguishes like teams, like you said, or they also suggest that you could use them just to give your ships a little more personality. It's like, oh, this is like my ship that has a purple base. That's a cool ship.
That's the commander.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a dumb little thing, but X-Wing. There's always more X-Wing stuff happening. So those are coming out, I think, pretty soon. So.
And I'm sure we'll see more as we get closer to the movie.
Yeah, maybe we'll have they have a whole wave coming by the end of the year that includes the two separate ships. So yeah, we'll see how all that extra stuff goes.
I'm surprised we haven't heard of them already, because usually the marketing team releases all the toys and stuff for the movie a year before the movie comes out.
There might be some stuff about I think it's Wave 8. I'm not sure if we know yet exactly what all the stuff that's in it, but yeah, you'd think there might be some ships from the new movie. You'd think. Besides the two that we already know about. So that's X-Wing, but we're never not talking about X-Wing ever again until until December. But we will keep going with Fantasy Flight. This is pretty interesting. This is an actually big story. Now that we got our, that was our appetizer.
Okay.
Here's our main course news. AEG previously had the rights to the Legends of the Five Rings universe.
Series, right.
Whatever you want to call it. And they had an ongoing CCG based on that universe. It's been going on for a long time. I don't think you've never played it, have you? I've never played it. But it's been going on for a long time. Well, Fantasy Flight just recently purchased the rights to that
universe,
to that franchise, or whatever you want to call it, including the big deal is that CCG, if you played it, is being discontinued after they have one more release, and Fantasy Flight will be rebranding it as what else?
An LCG.
An LCG, with, of course, the predetermined releases and expansions, things like that. They also mentioned they're going to be expanding to other things, like they specifically said role-playing games they're looking into with this.
Not surprised.
I didn't know. I kind of thought Legends of the Five Rings was free domain or something, or maybe specifically for games it's not, because it's like old, ancient stories, isn't it? Or do I not?
I don't know the actual universe.
What's the lore on this, if you know?
I mean, it might be based on old stories, but then it's like a new version, so the title itself and maybe characters are copyrighted.
Yes, but not the...
Sort of like how Cthulhu himself isn't, but Arkham Horror is copyrighted.
Right, yeah, maybe. Must be something like that. Otherwise, why would they buy it? Although I wonder how much money they actually spent. I can't imagine it was that major of a property. But this is yet another CCG going the way of LCG. I mean, what do you think?
Well...
Is this a trend, or?
Well, for me, I really like the idea behind LCG, because the problem is if you when you do CCGs, it's sort of like you focus on one. That's it, because you can't buy packs or hundreds. It's too expensive as it is focusing on one. And let's be honest, 90% of people, or a large portion, are either going to go to Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or Magic the Gathering.
Right.
I mean, that's only the times I've seen tournaments at game stores are usually for those.
Definitely.
So usually at least in America, speaking strictly America here.
In Russia, They love
I don't know if there's like,
the Harry Potter trading card game.
the one I was thinking more is like maybe Japan or something might have other because sometimes you see Force of Will is coming might be on there, but like LCG sort of takes that expensiveness, so you could still play. You can still play Call of Cthulhu LCG, Netrunner, this because you sort of like you're really just buying an expansion.
Right. Yeah.
So you get a lot of what you get, most of the things you get without all the
much more accessible,
and not having to worry about the stock market.
Right.
The singles market.
Not worrying about rarities or getting the one card you've been trying to find forever or whatever.
Or thinking about how this card would be good, then you look it up and it costs $200.
And we've seen, Versus was the most recent, was before this that happened too. So we'll see if, I don't know, like, I think we had our show about...
To be honest, also, the fact Fantasy Flight getting it, they know LCGs.
Right.
I mean, why would they make a new, when they...
It doesn't make sense. No,
for
definitely.
Them. But in particular, this also means Asmodee's got it, because Asmodee owns Fantasy Flight. So it means Asmodee is growing stronger.
I hadn't even thought about that. It is kind of a weird, like, Russian nesting doll thing. What are those things called?
Don't ask me. But I'm going to call them that for now.
A lot of Russia references on today's episode. So that's cool. I'm not sure if they have a timetable for that yet. I think, like I said, it's at least a few months away. Probably not till 2016. Which is about a few months away. So that'll be cool. It's a cool universe, and it'll be another LCG to get into. Remember Splendor?
No.
Speaking of gaming trends, the digital version of Splendor, which we've talked about before, we've talked about the real version of Splendor. Well, now the digital version of Splendor has been released on Steam, not just iOS or mobile devices. And I think there's a couple other games I know that are digital on Steam. I think maybe Ticket to Ride is on there, a few others. But I was wondering what you thought about, like, because to me, it does seem like Steam is more... Once your thing is on Steam, it's really a more mainstream audience that it's hitting. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. Is it compared to like the Apple Store or something?
Well, here's how I view every store.
Yeah.
Steam is pretty much like, it's like the antique shop. Everything's there. Like it's not just like mainstream. It's just
right.
But if you own, excluding Apple, like I don't know Apple as well, but if you own any pretty much Windows products, odds are if you like to do any kind of gaming on your computer, you have Steam.
Sure.
However, what that also means is that there's probably a lot of people who are going to wait until it's $5.
That's or 99 cents.
Right. But then this brings us to Apple, and what the interesting thing is because I know they're doing that new Apple TV is now getting like games and stuff now, so that's like a whole new thing. Like before, it was just the Apple Store, which is really more small apps, which maybe I could see Ticket to Ride, and some games, but not a lot.
Star Realms is pretty big on there.
But they're doing a lot more, so that's something I can't really comment on. We'll see what they do. Apple's trying to get back into. I think they're really. I mean, they're everywhere, but in particular, I think they want to get back into the video game area. Huh. So it's going to be very curious to see what they do, especially with how I think video games are changing right now with the mobile market, with the audiences being more realized, not just to be people who like Call of Duty. So it's going to be very interesting to see what comes from them. And then we also have to take into effect, I believe it's Tabletopia?
Tatopia, and Tabletop Simulator, and other things of that ilk.
Which, like, for example, which is really cool, the creator of Draco Magi, for the new expansion that just got funded on Kickstarter, actually got it on Tabletopia, and gave you a link for you to use the beta, and that's really cool. And it's going to be very interesting then, because this sort of physical, digital, because I'm very curious to see how board games will fit into this now as they sort of cross this digital threshold.
Yeah, no, exactly what you just said, and I wonder if will Splendor, for example, in the future, will they not have an app because it will be part of Tabletopia, or will people still want?
That's my other thing.
Will they? Can they coexist?
And another thing I was thinking about was Splendor is on those, but I feel like when Splendor came out, a lot of people talked about they liked it because they hefty coins.
Right.
So like, there's certain games I wonder, will people still like if they just play the digital version? Because some of them, the physical component, like Can you imagine playing Mousetrap digital?
Yeah, that's be called watching an animated GIF and then leaving.
It's like, what's that machine called? Like when they call
Rube Goldberg.
It's called the Rube Goldberg video.
Yeah, right. Just search YouTube for Mousetrap. Digital Mousetrap. You've experienced it. Yeah, so that's a little mini topic of the week, right in the middle of the show.
And then here's the other thing that if people are going to be like,
throw it at me.
I bought it at Steam, let's say on sale for 99 cents. Can I have it on Tabletopia for free?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I like that idea too. Like how a lot of times they have cross-buy. Like you buy something on PS4, you'll get it on Vita too. Like,
no, I mean I like it, but it's very complicated.
You know what? I'm surprised I don't see as much is a game like coming with a code for the digital version included. I feel like that's something somebody should start doing.
Yeah, you see,
they want you to pay for it.
Yeah, because after playing Magic Gathering, there's a digital version. They do not translate with each other. As in, if you have digital cards, I remember you cannot. I think if you want it, you could get physical versions, but then you lost the digital versions before. I don't think that's the way anymore. But it's literally like you have two different collections.
But they could do at least like if it's like a free-to-play game or something, they could be like, here it comes with you get a free pack or something for digital.
I mean, there's certain.
They've probably done stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's not as simple, especially with board games. They always want you to. I mean, hence the collector's edition. It's the same thing. It comes with 2 promos.
So Splendor, available now on Steam platforms everywhere. Check it out. Actually, really, I've been thinking about. I want to try a bunch of these digital games.
Well, the big thing for me, though, the reason why I think board games work now is it's solely the ubiquity almost of pad products, iPad, touch screen, because that board games work on those. Like, I wouldn't really want to play Ticket to Ride on your phone. No offense.
You're gonna hurt its feelings. I feel like what did I play? I played the
you played the
Carcassonne app on here on this phone.
How'd that work out?
It's okay. It's kind of weird. It's kind of small.
But like the biggest thing I think should come from board games working digital isn't just putting their game and making it digital. Would be like how we talk with Dead of Winter, where literally there is an app. Like hearing about the app, like.
It's a symbiotic thing more than a.
That's how I want to see it, especially with all my very big themed American themed games, like Arkham Horror. Like imagine if there's a nice big pad where you could everyone can hold their character. So once your turn, you just pass it around. Your money's there, your items are there. Like also for drawing the cards. So if you've played Arkham Horror, you realize half the table is lined up with decks.
Right. I think that's definitely the future for some games.
Yeah, I think some games that would just make it. I mean, especially any game like Arkham Horror has this. Dead of Winter has it. The same idea as Dead of Winter, pretty much. Where the other game, The Secret of the Lost Temple, has it. Tombs. I'm gonna keep messing it up. They have adventure and misadventure cards in which you're supposed to just read the top part, not read what happens then.
Right.
And if it was your turn, I'd read it for you. So the idea, so the person can't be like, oh, well, I know what happens, so it doesn't matter. So you actually have to sort of.
If it were digital, I think is like what you're saying.
Yes.
Digital opens up a lot more opportunities.
Because then you can make it so even the person reading it can't see. So it can't be like,
right.
That's why I think companion apps are the next big step for board games.
So Splendor available. Steve. All right, moving on to our final news story for the day. Remember Magic: The Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and games made by Wizards of the Coast?
I remember these
Discontinued.
games.
Not really. Well, actually, it's sort of interesting. Wizards of the Coast is ending their community forums on their internet effective October 29th. There will no longer be a message board that you can post on their website. They said due to basically now that there's Twitter and Reddit and other sites that, there's no need for it anymore, that people aren't posting there as much, and they're giving you until this time, and then everything will be gone, data wiped.
I mean, we have the Gatherer now, which is pretty much the card encyclopedia. There's at least, I can't think how many spoiler sites where I've been keeping up. Actually, as of this recording, I haven't checked. Battle's Zendikar is fully spoiled because next week, actually this week, if you're watching this, is the week of the pre-release.
Next week if you're not watching this.
But everything's spoiled, so I want to check that out. If you click on the links, because some of the cards before when they're spelled are not in English, so translate there and people talk about them. So you see people's comments on just one card.
Right. It's very.
I mean, the internet has like
it's evolved.
Well, that's the amazing thing with Reddit. Like Nintendo doesn't need, like for an example, a whole place for amiibos. There's the Reddit amiibo where people don't get paid to moderate and watch.
There used to be a Nintendo forum too, and that doesn't exist either.
Why pay when people are willing to step up to the plate for free?
Right. I don't know. I mean, on the other hand, you could argue, well, like we want them all to come to us to be in our special zone. Like I feel like this wasn't as much a choice of it's better as much as nobody's here, so why should we bother?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, why should they pay to have a server and watch it when there's other people going other places where it's free? Not only that,
there's some amount of man hours.
There's the illusion then in these places like Reddit that it's just them, that they're not in there at all. So when Wizard comes by like, hey guys, here we're giving you something, they're like, wow, this is so cool, they're coming to us.
It's a little more like you get to see people discussing your stuff in their natural habitat.
Yeah, and then when you come around, like you have an official account, like I know with sometimes like stores, like Amazon will actually drop in there like, hey, we're getting this magic thing or something. Like people get really excited. So, I feel a lot of times there's no need to pay to have your own forums. You just have a Reddit account and you have like, Reddit Joe, whoever. You have one guy like who just supposed
Good old Reddit Joe.
You got to choose a generic name. But who just comes in, says something and then excites the crowd, like maybe spoils a little bit. Like you don't have to do anything. And then the moderators are all there. Last I checked, they're not paid for most Reddit moderators.
I don't think so.
Maybe you pay one employee to be a moderator on there to just give you a heads up, but like, it's the smart move on their part because I don't think they need to.
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess I'm sure there may be a few people who are like they have a community there, so they'll be like, but they'll find they know each other. They can find them somewhere else.
You ran a forum. For like what? 3 people back in high school.
Back in the days when the internet was young.
I think they can do it. I think it's possible.
When there was no, there was no. Was there a 4chan? I don't know. There was, but
there probably was. But Facebook was just starting.
Back then, if you remember, in the earlier days of the internet, not even that long ago, like 5 or so years ago, every site had its own forum, and little by little, you see the same thing happening, where it's just like, no, you don't need. Every site doesn't need one.
Well. That's what Reddit is. Reddit is the forum of the internet.
Covers it all. And even like Twitter and Facebook or whatever, you have a Facebook page. What do you need a forum for? So anyway, check that out. You have another month before that will be
clock ticking.
So there are some a couple of really cool Kickstarters this week. Which one should we tackle first?
Well, I think how about the one where we hold hands? But no, the game actually is called
Slow Mode, and
Then We Held Hands.
We're going to put romantic music in. Yes, and ... and then
I forgot the ... How could I forget that?
So this was originally a print and play, like super indie kind of game, and now they're kickstarting it with professional artwork by the same artist who did Dixit, which is awesome.
Oh, no, I mean, it fits it perfectly.
To explain the game, it is a cooperative game that represents two people's relationship. So each of you have cards that are emotions, and you're like trying
You're not supposed to speak, though, right?
Right, there's no verbal communication. So you have to just interpret. Basically, there's different places you can move to and say like, oh, I need to play an anger card to get to the neck of that space. But they might have needed that anger card, so if you take it away, the game ends. So you have to try and, you share a card pool, and you're trying to meet in the middle. It's super, the reason I think it's so cool is this is like the indie game of board game. No, like this is like Journey or Braid or something.
Well, I like when it has the abstract. I mean, I love my heavy theme games, don't get me wrong, but just sort of this...
Well, it's kind of both. It's a very abstract,
but I mean, it's not abstract in the sense like tic-tac-toe, but it's abstract in the sense like, it's not just, I'm not reading I am your lover who has come to, like...
It's literally abstract in that, like, it's all very,
it feels very
metaphorical and...
For lack of a better term and white appropriation, Zen.
Light appropriation. Yeah, Zen, meditative. It's like a very contemplative lesson learning exploration feelings game. That's the full subtitle. They really got to work on that. Also, what I think is cool, what is kind of refreshing about that Kickstarter, is its simplicity. As they point out, no stretch goals. No, not there's the two tiers.
Well, because
buy it and buy it.
Can you think of anything you'd want with like?
Right. I mean, like they said, actually, this does include an addition from the original, like a harder mode, and again, all the redone artwork. So
does it include a mode when I'm a drunk alcoholic?
Yes, kind of. Well, the new harder modes are argument cards, so there's like it's a bit more difficult.
Now, is there a mode when I'm addicted to buying board games and have to keep trying to fill up my shelf? And instead of spending money on children.
Now there's an expansion. Of course, you have to pair this. After this, you play the divorce card game. Go together perfectly.
No, the new expansion though is when one guy doesn't know, but there's a third person at a different table who's a third wheel that someone's cheating with.
It's very complicated.
And then there's the polygamy
digital
version.
component.
The polygamy version when there's 4 you'll have to be in the middle.
You can make that work. You can house rule that. But that's if you back it. The print and play is available now if you want to try it, and it's going to also come out. I think they want to get it out by December of this year. So.
Well, that's impressive. We'll see if they can do it.
They said, I think, because it's they have all their stuff together. It's simple. But there's another really big one.
Yeah, this is from the makers of Level 99.
Level 99. It makes BattleCon, Pixel Tactics.
Right. I always mix up the name.
It's called XC.
That's why I'm like, I know there's an X.
Yeah, so this is another 2-player fighting game, just like those other 2 games.
But this one is actually going to be based off actual copyrighted fighting. So
so they said they wanted to get like different licenses from games, video games, board games, like comics, like all over the map. I didn't see.
I forget what the first one's called.
It was based on some game.
It was one I had to look up.
It's not Street Fighter or something crazy like that.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the future.
And I'm sure I'll be amazed if we don't see the BattleCon characters in there if they're not already. I don't know if they are. But yeah, it's the idea behind this one that I guess separates us from the other ones. You're still on a track. You're still playing cards to fight. But I think that the energy or mana system, for lack of a better word, is a little different. You're kind of spending cards. Also, there's no decks. It's not an LCG. It's not a CCG. You have a deck, and that's your deck. That's your character forever. So each time you buy a new character, it's never going to change. So there's no constructing or anything like that. So that's kind of nice. That makes it more personable, your character deck.
I actually wouldn't be surprised, because thinking about it, if we actually might see hints of Capcom being dropped as we approach the new Capcom game being released.
Capcom is a new...
Not Capcom, Street Fighter.
You think maybe...
Well,
I don't know. You think they'll get a license that big?
I mean, Level 99 has been growing.
Maybe.
And I can see it because I've been seeing a lot of releases of old characters returning to Capcom.
Part of me feels like it's almost like Sentinels of the Multiverse getting the rights to Marvel. I feel like isn't part of the charm, at least for me, of BattleCon was always...
this is separate from BattleCon.
That's true.
That's the thing.
That's true. So
that's why these are. I think that's the
clearly
whole
this
point.
Is the direction
they didn't
they're
want
going.
BattleCon's meant to be its own universe.
Right.
We should say whatever that world's called, because they appear in Argent,
War of the Indians, whatever Indians universe. Yeah.
But this whole idea is, I think it's just obviously the people there are big fans of the fighting video game style.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be. They would love to do it.
We have the DC deck building game, the Legendary deck building game. I mean, technically Capcom falls into the DC, but I think there isn't one that really has the idea of crossing over all the fighting games, but keeping that fighting game spirit. I mean, the Capcom deck building game does a good job, but it's not.
It's built on an existing system. It's not,
and it's really built on not a two-player fighting.
Right.
Game. It says you attack one player, but this literally is only you and me.
Right.
So I think it's just trying to capture the spirit of every fighting game, but also getting all the fans excited because I'm sure there are plenty of people like who would win, Scorpion or Ryu or
it'd be awesome if they got all. I would love if they got those like Soul Calibur and stuff like that. It'd be really cool. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm just wondering how many more 2-player fighting games does this company have in them?
Like I said, they really like that genre.
Yeah, and it's clearly they keep building on it, and I hope they're improving it. And I forget. I think the BattleCon Online launches soon. I'm interested in that too. But anyway,
Going
check
back to
that
our
out.
digital games.
Yeah, it all comes full circle.
I feel like you say that every other episode.
That's because it all comes full circle. So I look forward to that. I'm sure it's level 99. So if you like their games, I'm sure this will be up your alley.
And if you're into the fighting games, because now that they're getting the copyrights.
Absolutely. I kind of wanted to just one more talk about. We played Scoville last week.
We finally got a chance to play it.
Yeah, from Tasty Minstrel Games. And it was pretty fun. What were your thoughts? Would you raise your voice that high when you talked about it? Or?
No, because I don't like my voice in general. If you're going that high,
that's my scale of from now on in game reviews.
Give it up! So next time I bring a game, you're like, we'll play this, I guess.
You'll know. That's how you know.
I definitely liked it a lot. It's definitely a game where I feel like I'm going to play a lot differently now that I've played it once.
Give them a brief rundown of the...
Well, pretty much in the game, you are trying to gain points, which... that's one of our biggest faults. We think the points should have a name like Capsation Points or...
yeah, pepper points.
Yeah. Anyways, you're pretty much by growing peppers to either make chili, return them in the farmer's market, first to plant the peppers.
Pick peppers, pickle peppers.
I noticed in our game, pretty much every ghost pepper recipe came out. So... what didn't occur to us really, but occurred to the one player who always wins in our group, was pretty much whoever got the first ghost pepper really was the one who's getting it ahead.
Right, and he did.
And what also happened is because I was next to him, because I was just trying to grow peppers, it sort of happens if two people are next to each other, you sort of help each other, but really it becomes not a symbiotic relationship, but more like...
adversarial?
Not adversarial, more like, it's like similar to parasitic. I pretty much got... help. I pretty much just he pretty much did everything before me.
Because the way it works is you plant the peppers and you move around the board, but if someone is in the spot you want, you can't take those peppers anymore. So I loved the bidding system for turn order.
Yeah, no, that was really cool because then you're like, do I go first or last? Because that was my mistake.
Well, that's what's cool about it is because there's two different actions, and whoever went last in the first action goes first in the next one. So I really like that because it never felt like you're not totally getting screwed if you bid
unless
for
you're
last.
3.
You might even want to bid nothing because you're saving money, like a lot of times, or like just 1 or 2. Yeah, like it depends. Or even being in the middle, I feel like.
No, I did not feel good. For now on, I'm always gonna make sure I'm either first or last.
Because then you kind of have like best of both.
No, that's what I thought.
You don't have best of both.
What happened each time was everyone would do. It would usually just everything I wanted to do would get done beforehand.
Yeah.
So you gotta choose one or the other. There's no middle ground.
I can see that. I didn't have as much. I wasn't near as people like you were, so I didn't have that issue.
Also, another thing that happened, which is really funny, I regret doing. We did not plant a lot of basic peppers, so there was no orange on the field.
Yeah, at the end of the game, I was like, I kind of want a blue one. I can't. There's no way to get blues. That was fun. It's definitely something that I feel like I never felt like I fully wrapped my head around the optimal strategy. I haven't gotten. I definitely don't have that yet.
I don't have the optimal strategy. I just feel like I know a better path to find it now.
Right.
Like first off, make sure there's a basic pair, like a red and a yellow and a blue, and a blue and a red everywhere.
Right. You want to plant those seeds literally and figuratively early on, so you have a better base.
But it's definitely one I want to try. And now I'm very curious to see about the expansion because I talked about it. I wanted to tell you guys we played the base because the expansion's not out yet. But I told you guys about what the expansion was beforehand.
Right,
about
in the lab.
Yeah, when you actually have your own little planting thing. So now I'm like, I could get my own ghost peppers.
Right, yeah. That definitely seems like the next step to make it more. For some reason, I always think of it with Agricola. It's really different from Agricola. It's much simpler, I think. Less stressful. But I feel like that having your own board brings it more into that space of having your own thing you can do, not having to worry as much about other people.
And there could be more, but see.
I'm sure.
I definitely want to try it with less people, because when we were playing, we played with 5 people, and the thing is, like, almost every recipe was out.
Right.
But if you have like 2 or 3, there's not as many. So I'm very curious to see if there's a much more of a limited supply.
Yeah, that definitely would be interesting. And then obviously the entire board space would be different because you're
Less people playing.
less people, less covering less ground, less quickly. Yeah, it'd be interesting. So definitely, I'd definitely recommend check if you have a chance, check out Scoville because it was cool.
But speaking of which by the time you see it, hopefully we'll have played. But I actually received this week. Speaking Kickstarter, going back to Kickstarter a bit, I received Epic, the card game from the makers of Star Realm.
Right, right.
And it looks a lot of fun. And the way we're gonna try to play it is the way I want to try is just from drafting, because you can do pre-constructed deck style and stuff. But I feel like why do that when we can just do like that way? I don't have to do anything beforehand.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
And what I like is pretty much the way you play. If you played any card game, if you like Magic, usually you're like, oh, I want to stick in these 2 colors. Like you sort of force to because the mana symbols.
Right.
Because you can only play red energy
And you
green
want
energy.
a combo, and you
Right.
don't want to water down.
In this, energy-wise, there's just everyone gets a coin a turn. So, and it doesn't matter on color. So, in fact, one of the things they suggest is just take 30 cards. That's your deck. Like you don't have to worry about colors and stuff. Like you do get rewards if you have the same colors in your hand, but it's not as stressful in drafting, because like I've done Magic drafting. There's times when you get in like, I can't play any of these colors. I don't have anything good, like any good
Right.
black cards to support this thing. But in this, you could be like, oh, this is a good card, and you just take like it definitely rewards people who aren't Magic like pros.
I do really like hearing about that, and also when we saw in Ashes, Rise of the Phoenix Born, and something like Hearthstone, I really like these alternate energy methods where it's not just drawing cards. I feel like it makes a lot of sense.
What I like,
to keep
I
it
mean,
outside
I
of the
do
deck.
really need to play Ashes, but unlike Ashes and Magic, where you do have the stick in a certain color,
Right.
which it's cool, it's nice, and it also makes more things interesting. This makes it a lot easier. I can take
More
Epic,
freedom.
the card game, to play with, like bring to a game night. Like I'm gonna bring
And you
it
don't
to.
have to worry about like, oh, do I have enough cards for someone else if they don't have cards to have a deck, or to
Right. Or
are they
I
gonna
don't
bring
and, like,
theirs, or
I mean, you could do constructed, like I said, but in this, I'm really excited to just do the drafting and be like, okay, everyone, let's make our own weird decks.
we will definitely do that this weekend, and we'll give you our report
Yeah.
for next week.
And of course, I also love the game because it has dinosaurs in it.
Why would every game should have dinosaurs in it? If you've played Epic or Scoville, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you have any questions about anything board game related, if you have thoughts about Wizards shutting down those forums, or the acquiring of Legends of Five Rings by Fantasy Flight, we totally want to hear your
If
thoughts.
you played the CCG, we'd definitely like to hear about that.
Right, the
like,
original
what are your
game.
thoughts now?
How does it compare? How you think it will compare?
If you've played any different games over the weekend, we'd like to hear
Yes.
about your guys' game nights.
We want to be your friend. You can leave a comment right on this video.
We're very lonely people.
Or you can email us, rollforcrit@gmail.com. We will read your mail on the air.
And of course, there's Twitter @RollForCrit and our personal Twitters.
And as always, you can find our website, rollforcrit.com, where you can buy lots of the games we mentioned for great, great prices. Plus, we have lots more podcasts and videos and things like that. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. We just put up a Suburbia video
And-
solo. You can check that out.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun and very weird. If you played regular Suburbia, playing the single mode is completely different. And also, let's not forget, I've watching the video. You missed out, though. We had a special thing for Speak Like a Pirate Day. So check back more for other weird events like that.
Yeah, you never know. Holidays coming up. I'm sure we'll have promos and events all throughout the ages.
But for now, just keep an eye out. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this has been Roll for Crit.